Welcome to part 2.
A particularly gruesome event of second sight happened on the Isle of Skye in the mid-1800s. At a local parish, a woman had just given birth to her child, and the local women went by to visit and bring her good tidings. As common practice, women would bring her rotten eggs to bless the child with good fortune. However, one woman told the mother that in a recent episode of second sight, she seen that her child would be dead. She said to describe seeing him mangled and bleeding. The mother, of course, became quite upset and told the woman to leave. Weeks later, she went to the well to fetch some water, and upon her return, she found her child, of course, mangled and bleeding, devoured by what seemed to be a wolf.
Now, second sight episodes are often attributed to a higher sensitivity to the paranormal world. However, some cases are triggered by more or less specific events. One such case would be a man in Scotland. When he was walking around the shore, he found a drowned body. Now, it is common practice in Scotland at that time to when you see a drowned body, you must turn it over. But the man got scared and ran away. Thus, the spirit of the body haunted him for days and days, until he finally got his wife to ask it to go away, and it did. This was a case of a personal attack by a spirit. Other times, second sight occurrences happen after a near-death experience, or sometimes they just happen on their own, and it is also common to have seers just suddenly lose their ability to see second sights. Other kinds of seers were seers or augurs, and what they did, they would be able to have a premonition and see where said person was and in what condition he was. They would also be able to do this with livestock, but they had to do this on the first Monday of the quarter before the sunrise. Although there are many well-documented cases of second sight, it is important to say that much of the knowledge has been lost about this phenomenon. There are two driving factors behind this. One has been the presence of the church, which judged second sights as being of a pagan ritual and of a curse for sinners in the regions of Scotland higher and lower lands. Secondly, it is the British control of the area. Much of the native Gaelic speakers and of the Scottish culture has been assimilated into the more predominant English culture in some places. However, other places, such as the Isle of Skye, still remain quite strong in their Gaelic and Scottish roots. So much is a culture of Gaelic and Scots in the Isle of Skye so strong that there is even a small renaissance going on. They have founded a Gaelic-speaking college, and even Wikipedia now has pages in the Gaelic language. All the Scots of the Highlands are associated with second sight. They are not the only ones that have been subjected to it. In antiquity, there are reports of ancient Greek second sights, one of which is the Odyssey, where Theoclymenus saw a shroud of mist about bodies and doomed whores, and drops of blood is stealing from the walls. Another such second sight was at Delphi, where there was also blood on the walls during the Persian War. Also, there are the Icelandic sagas that also report events that are closely to second sights. Other groups that also had second sights were the Native American Sami people, the Zulus of South Africa, and in New Zealand there were the Maoris. There's also a notion that some reports of second sight were associated with epileptic episode and just a general feeling of unwellness. However, this may have happened a few times. It does not happen very often to make it a definite trend. Despite the strong assimilation factors of both the church and the British power at hand in Scotland, there have been enough remaining documentation to be able to identify and classify second sight phenomena. Now then, in the case of my second sight, I've chosen the John Madden method of analyzing the video evidence at hand. Now, for those of you who don't know, the John Madden method is to do an instant replay, then freeze, and draw upon it to better analyze it.
Alright, so for this we're just going to do a little quick instant replay, just to see what happens here. There's me walking into my kitchen, minding my own business, looking into the fridge, whistling a happy little tune, reaching out for a carton of milk, and to my big surprise, there's my roommate standing there. Now stop. Now that given what Edgar Casey said, I'm going to try to interpret my own second sight. So he said, first of all, that if you had grave clothes, doesn't look so much like grave, so it won't be much of a good fortune or most certain death. Now, he's not going to be lost at sea or drowned because he's not glowing, so there's no glowing, and he's not wet. He's perfectly dry. However, this right here are his pajama pants. And that seems to be a sign of imminent death. However, this is an everyday shirt. So, it could be so-so. Now, the case for my roommate is, he's going to have a dangerous time ahead of him.
So given the clothing of said apparition, it is safe to say that my roommate will not be having a good time. Thus, he may not die, but something bad will more or less happen to him in the near or distant future. However, I have not had 12 years of experience with dealing with second sights. I have not studied, and I am not psychically sensitive whatsoever. So I think it's premature to go jumping for the hill, to go running for the hills, and saying something bad will happen to so and so. I'd much rather just keep on doing research and try and figure out what happened. So what I learned today was that it could have very well have been a second sight that I've seen. I originally thought they were only limited to people with the blood of Scots or from a Highland descendants. Turns out I was wrong. Historically, there have been many more episodes. There's also the fact that I learned a little bit how to interpret it thanks to Mr. Edward Casey. And given the nature of all the other stories, I would have to guess that my roommate would be in some kind of trouble. Now, I have, again, not been much experience with paranormal activities. I do not know where to start for interpretation or analysis. However, some people would ask if I should warn my roommate of potential misfortunes that may happen to him. I would have to say no, because I'm not qualified to, and frankly, he smells bad and owes me money. For those of you who seem interested by second sight and would like to learn further more about this, I would recommend to look up a few authors on the subject, such as Miss Anne Ross, Mr. Edward Casey, Mr. Martin, and yeah, I'm sure you'll find other things on the internet, but it's quite an interesting subject. That's it for me, and have a good day. Thank you for watching.